So, good morning, everyone. So, in the last lecture, we had seen the topic which was your choosing your platform. So, whenever we had talking about choosing our platform, it refers to that whenever I talk about platform, it is a combination of a price, performance, and capabilities that suits your pocket as well as that will help you to build your good prototype. So that always goes with this three as a combination. So whenever you talk about choosing your platform, you should not just go for a single solution and get ready for it. However, you should see for many options that are available for you, and then you should decide or settle for one solution. So with these three factors, when I talk about performance, there are many performance parameters you can say, or you can say characteristics that decides which platform you can choose on. So the first parameter which we had already seen was the processor speed. Second parameter which we had seen was your RAM. Third was your networking. So now we are going to look for the next parameter, that is your USB port. So you must be very much familiar with this because you must have seen this port into your laptops or any devices with it. So it is just a standard cable connection interfaces over your computers, you can say, and that helps you to have a short distance communication. So whenever you want to have a short distance communication, you can go with USB ports. Even you can have an external uh, drives connected to it, like your pen drives or any external devices. If you want, then you can connect with this USB port. So this is actually at times considered as like a port that helps you to make any external devices ready for connection, or if you want to do any sort of transmission, you can say, or sharing of any information, then you can do it with this because it provides you a proper combination of your power and networking. Power means whatever external device which you are putting into a USB port that can be of good size with respect to your storage, that is the power here, and it can help you for networking. So whenever we talk about microcontroller versions, it also comes up with USB. So all your kits which is there will have a USB ports into it. You will see once you'll start with the practical, or I'll show you it later on the later chapters wherein what is the USB port in your Arduino and Raspberry Pi. So USB plays a very important role because it helps you to connect for networking, and it is like, you can say, a very powerful port which really helps you to do many things if you want them. However, there were just two USB ports, or if you see in any device. At times, this USB port can also be considered as USB host. They can act as a host as well if you're connecting PCs, or you can say if you're connecting multiple devices with it. So that can add terms as USB port as well. Let's move to the next characteristic or parameter. It is power consumption. So power consumption is also very much important whenever you are considering or when you are deciding to choose a platform, because whenever you talk about faster processors, we always go for a fast processors, we always go for core i7, core i5. On the downside of it, this is that they are always hungry for what? They are hungry for power because they will consume more power, and then they will give you good amount of energy to do the task. So it's something like they're asking for more power. So if you're looking for a platform which consumes more power, then you have to make some considerations, because consuming more power is also not good at times. So like you may be you come up with devices which actually relies on unconventional power supply, like your batteries, solar power. So depending on whatever it is installed. So whenever we talk about processor, mostly there are processors which comes with minimal power consumption as well, and they have a something called as sleep mode. So whenever there is a sleep mode, when your laptop goes in the rest mode, they try to make sure that whatever extra power they have consumed so far, or whatever task they have done for the day, like if they are doing heavy tasks for the day, so it makes sure that it rests for a while, and your all your extra consumption which is done by your laptops, they put it or they try to balance it. So whenever we talk about faster processor, they always ask for more power consumption, and they actually require most of the high task applications, or you can say high level applications, to perform an operation requires fast processing, and fast processing requires more power consumption. So it is very much suggested that once you are done with your work, once you have think that there is more power consumption taking place today, so try to put your laptops or your machines for your sleep mode. With sleep mode may try to balance the heat whatever they have consumed so far, extra heat. At times you happens now, you have charged your battery 100% and suddenly you realize that the battery is going down very fast. The reason is like there is more power consumption is taking place from your processors, and that processors are doing maybe some high level or complex task in the background for your application. That is why your power consumption is more and your battery is going down faster. So always make sure that you give a break to it, give a break to your machines and put them into sleep mode so that they can work well. Let's see what is the next topic or next parameter. It is interfacing with sensors and other circuitry. So whenever I talk about designing a prototype, or you can say designing or choosing a platform, so I have to make a very good study of the sensors as well, because when I talk about IoT as a device, sensors are very much important because they are going to sense an information for me and give me the result back. So you have to always interfacing here refers to connecting with sensors and other circuitries can be your actuators, it can be your all the devices which will help you to make an IoT. So always you're going to be connected with sensors and devices, so you should make sure that what sensor you are going to use. So sensors are very much important because they gather the information. Other options can be your motors, that is nothing but your actuators, your LED lights or LED screens, which actually helps you to understand that sensor are sensing what. Now here in this example, you can see there is a temperature and humidity sensor, and it is capturing the temperature of your environment and the humidity as well. So there is some coding which is done over it, and with that coding it is sensing the environment and giving you the result. So now you're along with the sensors you need LEDs also. So this is your sensors also there attached, as well as there is an LED lights also which tells you that what is the amount of information or what is the temperature which is sensed by your devices which is connected. So here you can see there is a Raspberry Pi, there is a sensor, there is few wires, jumper wires, which are called as male to male, female to female wires are there, and we have an LED. So that is your interfacing with sensors and other circuitry, whatever you required for deciding your platform or whatever things which you required as a components, all connecting them and trying it over your breadboards, that is interfacing with sensors and circuits. Let's move to the next parameter is physical size and form factor. So this is also very much important. So whenever we talk about computers, the form factor is nothing but the size, the configuration you can say, or the physical arrangement of your computing devices. So basically this term is commonly used to describe arrangement of the device. Where is it in the case of a computer? Or one of its internal components, just like your motherboards. So that is your physical size and form factor. Nowadays, if you see, there are number of the connections which are made over your PCB, that is your printed circuit boards, and each connection which you are making can also be reduced because there are many options available. So physical size and form factor here refers to that whatever you are selecting or whatever you are choosing for a platform, now it doesn't comes with just one size, or you can just say there are options available. So according to your requirement you should select the physical size and form factor. As you are going for an IoT devices, always your physical size or your form factor should be small. Don't go for large devices which are bulky and which you cannot carry. Important is that. So you should always go for small devices. When we are looking for the laptop also, we always go for a standard size, isn't it? We don't go for the big, because at the end of the day it should be portable to you. Whatever device you are designing, it should be portable. So for portability, your selection of your physical size or your form factor is very much important. So in short, we can say the physical size is nothing but your physical arrangement of your computing devices, what size it comes, how does it looks, okay, and what it functionality gives you. Now in IoT, we have all small devices which are working as a powerful, and they are just like the big devices. So the physical size and form factor is not a big issue for us when we talk about selecting the platform, because we have all which comes with small sizes only. We don't come up with the big sizes. So we'll just take a quick recap of all the parameters before we move to the next topic. So the first was you're choosing your platform. So whenever we are choosing your platform, I've already told you before, three factors are important. That is your price, performance, and capability. So here we are going to see the performance, which will actually helps you to boost your device. So with respect to performance, the first is your processor speed. So when we talk about processor speed, it refers to how well your processors are working, because if your processors are working well, your CPUs will have less load, and they will help you to do the task well. So the load will be well if your processor is very good. So you should always go for a good processors. That is very much important. Every processor comes with a clock speed, so that clock speed determines like at what speed your processor is working. Mostly it is 2.2 gigahertz, just as I know for the laptops. So the information which is processed on your computer, the speed at which your computer processors or clock speed work together, they are called as processor speed. So a good processor speed will give you faster tasks to be done. Your task will be faster, and the loading of your all of your application and your task will be faster. So good is your processor speed, the less load will be over the CPU, and the task will be faster. Next is your RAM. So RAM is nothing but something which you want to increase your memories. So you go for the RAM. So RAM plays like very important role for making your applications run, because if your applications are running and if your RAM is less, then it takes more time to load. So RAM it just like act as an element for enhancing your storage memories. However, you can even have external RAMs, like 8 GB is the minimum requirement. If you want your system to work without any lag, then 8 GB is sufficient for you. So more is your RAM, the CPU will job will become more easier, because RAM act as a working memory for the system. All your application needs a RAM size for make them work. If your RAM is low, the application will take more time to load themselves, and at the end the task will be very difficult and will take more time to transfer your data. So if your RAM size is less and the CPU load becomes more, then it actually affects your computer performance. So make sure that you have a good RAM. Next was your networking. So networking is nothing but connecting your devices with each other. So whenever we talk about networking, we are always connecting our devices over a platform that is nothing but an internet. So when we talk about internet, we should always go for the wired options rather than wireless, because wireless at some point of time, due to any reason, they break, or they cannot give you the proper transmission. Okay, if you talk about wired, they will give you an end-to-end communication. The information will be sent from one to one, and it will be something which is guaranteed, because with wireless the transmission issues are more, and at times it doesn't give you the result as required. So we should go for a wide ethernet as an option. Now we have also Wi-Fi is also into the picture, so we can have a end-to-end networking with your devices with the technologies which is there. So when we talk about IoT devices, we have to make sure that we should have a proper connectivity, we should have proper components, the security aspect should be there into your devices whenever you are scaling your IoT components, or you can say IoT deployments. Next was your USB port. So USB port is nothing but your standard cable connection that can be used for your, you can say, short distance communication. It is almost there in every device. Even in the microcontrollers there are USB ports, and at times they also act as a USB host. Next was your power consumption. So when we talk about fast processors, they always consume more power. So we have to always make sure that you can have some extra backup with you all, so you can have your extra backup with you all with respect to your batteries, your external solar powers, and that can be there if the consumption is more. So power consumption is very much, you can say, a problem when you talk about the devices, because every device comes with a limitation of consuming the power. We cannot make a device which will consume more power, so we have to at least make sure that whatever power is required, minimum that power should be there with your devices. In microcontrollers and your hard, you can say in all your hardware platforms, the power consumption is more. Okay, but if you give more power consumption, in that case also the devices also goes off, and at times there are short circuit. So there has to be proper voltage level. Now high voltage level should be there, not low voltage level it should be there. Whatever minimum requirement is of that devices, at least that power consumption has to be there. So it is very much important. Nowadays there is something called as sleep mode also, which is coming into your computers. So you have to make sure that once your devices have consumed a large amount of power, just put them into sleep mode so they can rest for a while, and that the consumption which they have made extra, that becomes balanced, or that is being utilized somewhere else. Let's move to the next, is interfacing with circuit and sensors and other circuitry. So when we talk about choosing our platform, it is very much important that you are also selecting a proper sensors. Other circuitry refers to your actuators, which can also be used. So here in this example, we have one sensor, we have one LED light, and the sensor is sensing your temperature and humidity. So while choosing your platform, you have to choose your components also wisely, so that it will help you to give a good result for your IoT platforms. Next is your physical size and form factor. Whenever we talk about physical size and form factor, it refers to your size of your device, your configuration, or the physical arrangement of it. So always your physical form factor plays a very important role, because it is deciding characteristic which form factor you have to opt for. Mostly when we talk about form factor, we always go with the standard size, which is easy to carry, which is portable, and which is flexible. Because if we go for a big form factor, then it will become very bulky, and at times we cannot carry them well as well. So you should always go for the standard size. Whenever we talk about IoT, the physical form factor is always a standard size, and it is always small, because our intention is what we have to make our devices powerful, and they should be small devices, they should not be big devices. So the physical size and form factor here is always in the standard size, and that is mostly small only. Next we are going to the Arduino. So as I've already told you before, we have two platforms. One is your Arduino, and second is your Raspberry Pi. So in Arduino, here you can see there are diagrammatic representation of Arduino platform, along with whatever uh, they have elements it is there into your Arduino. That is for reset switch, there is a USB connector, there is USB interfacing chip, there is something called as crystal oscillator, there is a voltage regulator which controls the voltage, there is power point, there is digital pins, there is LED connections, microcontrollers, and your input pins. So this was the platform which was used. So whenever we talk about hardware platform in this entire IoT, you're going to deal with two hardware platforms. That is one Arduino, and second is your Raspberry Pi. However, when we talk about Arduino, it is nothing but your open source prototyping platform that can be used for building your electronic projects. So it actually consists of a physical programmable circuit board and the software. The software is nothing but wherein you have to run your softwares, or it can run over your Windows, it can run over your Mac PCs, even in over your Linux operating system. So it comes with the both of combination. It is has a physical programmable circuit which you can see over the screen. Along with this, it has a software. So it is a combination of hardware and software as we need for making an IoT product. So the very first, when I talk about, we are going to see few elements of it. Like when we talk about Arduino, first comes is your IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So when we talk about Arduino IDE, it is termed to be as a like a very simple processing language, and most of the programming which is done, the language which is used is your C, C++, and Java. So the interface which is there, which you communicate, is very functional interfaces. It is completely functional interface, and it is very simple to use. Like it is just a single file of the code is there. You have to just mostly open it, you have to edit the file, then you have to connect it, and then it is ready. So we are going to surely see a video of it, how it turns to be in just next lectures, which will be there, or once we complete this, so that you can have a better understanding. Next, there is something called as pushing code in Arduino. So when we talk about pushing code, it refers to the code which you are writing it to make your platform run. Like as I've told you before, only writing an embedded code. Once you have placed your sensors, once you have placed your actuators, you need to write the code also, and with that code the entire kit will run. So that is called as pushing code. So whenever we talk about pushing code, it is nothing but at very simple level, you are writing a code for it that will really help you to understand the component which you have designed. Even you can have a simple code of making your turning your LED lights on and off. So that is also one type of a code which you are writing it. So that is your pushing code. So it is a code wherein you will write it down. Then just like C or C++, you are going to compile the code. Okay. If your code is correct, then it will be automatically transferred to your Arduino memories. And from that memory, it will again start processing it, and you will get the result. It is just like your small computers, you can say. Okay, just like in our computer, when we do any type of processing, it goes to the CPU, the CPU does the task, and then the application reacts and give you result back. So the operating system which is usually used in the Arduino, it is called as Duino operating system. AR is for R and DUINO, that is Duino is for operating system. So the name of the operating system which is used here is Duino. There is a one sort of operating system which is already there into your Arduino Arduino kits, which actually helps you to do multitasking things. Next language, next characteristic is language. So when we talk about language, as I've already told you before, we are using the language that is C, C++, and Java. So whenever we talk about languages, there are two types of routines which are already followed by your codes. So that is, first routine is your setup routine, and second is your loop. So what do you mean by setup routine? So setup routine basically is like, once you have written the code, okay, the boot, it will be saved into the memory, and there will be first booting which will take place. Okay, so that first booting is called as your setup. So there will be number of input output pins. You can see there is a digital pins over your screen. So that is your input output pins, where they are preparing your data structure, that how your information will be processed, and whatever code you have written or whatever program you have written, it becomes ready for compilation. So that is your setup. So when you talk about initial setup, it is nothing but a set of routine where your board, or your, you can say your kit that boots up. Just like our laptop, when we initially start our laptop, what does it do? It do some booting. That same booting is done here also. Whenever you are turning your Arduino kit on, at initial level, the first step which takes place, the setup here is booting. Okay, so in that booting, many task takes place. The input output pins which are there becomes ready, so that you can connect them and you can do the processing of your programs. Next is loop. So whenever I talk about loop, it refers that whatever task you want to perform. Okay, maybe you want to perform some task repeatedly, turning on and off of your routers, sorry, of your Arduino kits. Okay, so there will be some sort of checking in case if your connection is not proper. So you will again turn on and you will turn off your kits. So that is called as loop, wherein you are doing one task repeatedly, and that task are executed by the routine that is called as loop. Okay, next, what is the debugging mechanism of Arduino? So when we talk about debugging mechanism of Arduino, it is a C++ language, which is like a very easy language, as they all know. But when you talk about C++ language, it has technique of declaring the variables. So in case if you're not declaring your variables properly, at times there will be n number of errors which will be coming during your compilation time. So you have to make sure that whenever you are writing a code, with respect to syntax, first you will check the code over a C++ platform. Okay, and then you are going to check the code over your Arduino platform. You have to just check the syntax, nothing else, because if you check the entire hardware code over a C++ platform, you will get n numbers of errors there itself. Just you have to check the syntax, like whatever header files you have put into, like your stdio, polio, whatever methods you have declared, whether that is proper or not. Because here you cannot do the error checking. You will just simply get the error that this is the problem. And at times, if there is a problem with method declaration, then it can be solved over the platform that is C++. So first you have to design the structure of your code in C++, make it run whether the structure is correct or not. Then you can start putting your hardware code into your platform, and then you can make it run. When we talk about openness, so there is an open hardware and the open software. So it is an open source software, so there is an openness here. Okay, I'll repeat again. What is an Arduino? So whenever we talk about Arduino, it is your open source platform. It helps you to build your electronic projects. It consists of both physical programmable circuit as well as it has a software. So whenever we talk about software, it is has a integrated development environment that works on your Windows platform, that works on your Mac platform, and that also works on your Linux platform. Okay, so when we talk about IDE, it is very fully functional IDE, where the processing language which is used is very easy. Anybody, those who want to have an access to this ID, they can come up with their code, single line of code. You can say there is an editor file where you can run this code and make it run. So whatever you are going to do with the just like we have an ASP.NET ID, similarly in that way we have an Arduino ID, wherever you can write the your code and you can see your code running, and in case if there are any errors, then you can understand those errors. So that is your IDE, the software part of your Arduino. Next is pushing code. So whenever we talk about pushing code, it refers to the very first code which you are writing into your IDE. Okay, so whenever you write the code, if there are any compilation errors, that errors will be reported to you. If there is no compilation error, if your code is 100% correct, then this code will be transferred to your Arduino memories, and from there it will start processing it. So whatever result you are going to use, whatever result you're going to see, you're going to see once your data is saved into your memory. Once it is saved into the Arduino memory, according to the code, whatever you have written, it will show you the result. Like for example, if I'm writing a code of turn on the LED lights. So if the code is correct, it will saved into my Arduino memory. And as soon as I run the code, I can see the lights turning on over the kits wherein I have connected my LED lights over it and I can see that. Okay, so that is your pushing code. Whenever we talk about Arduino operating system, which is used in Arduino, that is called as Dune operating system. That is DUIN. Okay, that is why it is Arduino. So that four letter word, that is DUIN, is your operating system which is used in your Arduino. So with this operating system, it actually helps you to do the multitasking task. Whatever you have done processing, whatever source code you have written, that all the task is done from your operating system. Next is your language. So whenever we talk about Arduino language, the language you uses C++ for writing the code over the platform. So whatever software ID which you are using, there you will write codes in which language? You are going to write the codes in C++ language. Okay, so there will be some libraries. You know there are many libraries of your C++, hash include, stdio, hash include, conio. So there are many libraries which you have to be there, and along with that you have to understand the Arduino libraries as well, because Arduino libraries are important to make the code run. So whenever we talk about routines, there are two routines here. One is your setup routine and the second is your loop routine. So when I talk about setup routine, this is an initial setup. Whenever you are starting your kit for the first time, there will be a booting which will takes place, and that is your setup. So whatever things are required, whatever components are required, the booting will make sure that all the components are ready. The most important component which is required here is your input output pins, because you're going to connect everything over this input output pins. Okay, so there are pins there and you have to connect it. So in this initial setup, it will make sure that all your modes of input output pins are set up, so that it is easy for you to connect them and you can get your results. So that is was your setup routine. Second routine is your loop. Whenever you are performing any task repeatedly, okay, that is called as loop. Loop means what? Doing something again and again. Similarly, anything which you are doing again and again here, that is called as loop. So here basically what we do, I'll tell you, we already mostly most of the time will turn on and off, because your voltage levels are not proper. So at times it doesn't work. So there is a voltage regulator you can see over the screen which helps you to regulate your voltage. But since at times voltage is not proper, you have to keep turn on and off your kits. So that this is something which takes place again and again. So that is your loop here, wherein your Arduino is switched on and off whenever there is issues with voltage. Next is your debugging. So when I talk about debugging, the language which is used for debugging is C++. So when you know that when you talk about C++, there are number of errors which comes when you don't declare your variables properly, or if there are some compilation errors. So there are many numbers of errors comes. So you have to always make sure that whatever methods which are there, which are a C++ method, you first write it them in the C++ interface, okay, and then you can start writing the code over your embedded platform, so that whatever methods which are of C++, you don't make mistake there, because in Arduino it will just simply throw the error message, it will not tell you what an error is. So we have to first just make our code run over the C++ platform, which is a part of that IDE, and then you can run the code on your Arduino IDE. So that you have to see. Last is your openness. So when I talk about the openness, how open it is, since Arduino is an open source platform, the project, whatever you make in the Arduino are very much open in terms of hardware and in terms of software as well. Okay, so that was your Arduino. In the next lecture, I'll start with a Raspberry Pi with the same characteristics. So the characteristics of Arduino which we have studied here while understanding is what is IDE. So when I talk about IDE of Arduino, it is a software which you have to make sure you are installing over your PC, and through that IDE you are going to write the code which will connect it with the hardware, and the design will, and your project will run. Second is your pushing code. So pushing code is nothing but the first code which you write it down and then you run it, and once the code is run, if it is correct, it will be loaded into the memory, and from the memory you can see the output. Okay. Third is language. So the language which is used here is a C++ language. So you have to write all your embedded codes in the C++ language into the software IDE of Arduino. Okay. However, there will be some other libraries also of the Arduino. So you have to make sure that you know them as well whenever you are trying to read the information from the input output pins which is there, because these are the main which will give input to your system, and with that input the processing will take place. Next, whenever I talk about languages, it comes with two subroutines, that is your setup and loop. Whenever I talk about setup, this is nothing but the initial booting which takes place when you are turning on your Arduino. So this setup actually helps you to prepare your input output pins so that they are ready to take the input, and this will really help to program our result. Next, when we talk about loop, loop is nothing but something or anything which you are doing again and again, that is called as looping. So basically your loop routine will do what? Whenever you are turning on or you are turning off your Arduino, it will make sure that this routine has been carried out, and while you are carrying out this routine, there is a proper output or input given with respect to the response. Next is your debugging. So when we talk about debugging, we are using C++ language for debugging. As everybody knows, in C++ language, whenever you are declaring your variables, if you are declaring your variables incorrectly, then there are a lot of compilation errors which come. So all your debugging will take place with respect to your C++ language. Last is your openness. So when I talk about openness, it refers to your hardware openness and software openness. So since it is an open source platform, there is a hardware and software openness into it. So that was all about your Arduino. In the next lecture, I'll make you understand what was your Raspberry Pi, and then we will take a comparison between the two, and we will understand that which we should select when we are talking about an embedded platform. Okay, that's it for the day. Thank you, everyone.